Welcome to Hearthstone What's Next?
Welcome to Hearthstone's What's Next panel. I'm Peter Whalen, one of the designers on the Hearthstone team.
I'm Liv Breeden. I'm also a designer on the Hearthstone team.
And we're here today to talk to you about Rastakan's Rumble. This is a no-holds-barred, team-based arena brawl set in the legendary Gorobashi Arena. And it looks something like this.
To bite air, rain and fire. The only things a real troll desire. Has to smash and to mash and to bash and maybe mangle. Here it's strangle.
Thorn, you'll be warned, my lord's gonna trash ya. Say your prayers with voodoo, bashi bashi. Time for fun, we're gonna run ya through. Too bad for you. It's only once a generation. One victor wins the confrontation. Standing here, got no fear. I'm the best in the arena.
Man, you never seen a hero cut you down to zero.
Victory is no joke. Careful at your door.
Cloak.
It's a star, it's how a star is born. Here in Stranglehold.
That's right. We're going back to the heyday of Gorobashi Arena, and we focused an entire expansion around the trolls who brought it to the height of its glory. And what's not to love about trolls? They're like dinosaurs. They're Mohawks. They're awesome. With the recent launch of Battle for Azeroth, we got to explore trolls more in depth now than we ever had in the past. And it turns out, everybody loves trolls. They built these monolithic empires and ruled over all of Azeroth. They spread so far that they've had to adapt to different environments, from the ferocious forest trolls to the grim rituals of the blood trolls. There are so many different interesting characters that we can pull from, because they have this majestic society with this proud heritage. But there's also this dark mysticism and voodoo that's at the core of what it means to be a troll.
Trolls are awesome. There's a ton of diversity among trolls, and we've wanted to do a troll expansion for a long time. With Battle for Azeroth launching, it was the perfect opportunity to take advantage of that. So if we're going to do a troll expansion, what are we going to do? We talked about a frosty monastery with frost trolls. We talked about doing the search for Troll Dorado, the legendary city of gold that we just made up on the spot. We talked about a bunch of different things, but one of the things we really wanted to capture was that sense of lots of different trolls, that diversity and the dark voodoo and the smashy troll axe guys, all kinds of different trolls. And what better way to do that than to have them beat each other up, smash each other in an arena, gladiator style. All right, so that brings us to Rastakan's Rumble. We know we want a bunch of trolls in Gorobashi Arena just wailing on each other. So we got the whole team together and said, we love trolls, you love trolls. What do you love most about trolls? What are the things from World of Warcraft we have to make sure we get in here? And people called out Zul'jin, the Hakkar Corrupted Blood event. They called out dinosaurs with giant shoulder armor. All the things that you associate and love about trolls. But one thing that everybody called out was the Loa. Loa are the primal gods that the trolls worship. They're these larger-than-life, mostly beasts, and they're incredibly powerful and cool. They also have big personalities, and that was great for us. We love big personalities in Hearthstone. So we said, all right, we're going to do the Loa, we're going to do trolls in an arena, and the Loa are going to have teams. Each of them is going to have a team with all the characteristics that go along with that Loa. So we started concepting that out. And these are some of the first concept sketches that we had. This was our very first team. These are Hakkar's Soul Flayers. Turns out Hakkar is the most evil of all of the Loa, and he was so evil we decided not to put him with a team because we thought he might eat all of the people on his team. So...
But I mean, he's still going to show up, right? Like, he's going to crash the party even though he's not invited. So he's going to be a card.
So he's a card, he's a neutral card, he ate his team. That's all that a card can do. But the concepting here wasn't a waste at all. We figured out that we wanted to have fans with the Loa painted on their chest, like the Shark Loa. We wanted to have the colors, the blue and red that you associate with a card, the wings on the shoulders, weapons that are the talons, all of these things that the whole team would derive their artistic vibe from the Loa. So that brings us to Shirvala's Tigers. These guys are actually in the game. These are the noble Zandalari tribe. These are all paladin minions. They've got the upright trolls, the glowing hammers, the gleaming yellow magic. You can see the tiger head and the brazier and the tiger symbol that's on a lot of the cards for Shirvala's Tigers. They inherit a lot of the qualities of that Loa, and we can see that with Akali's Rhinos. These are the smashy warrior minions. These are trolls that have probably more brawn than brain. They like to ram their head at walls or do all of the things that a rhino might do. They've got huge metal shoulder pads, huge metal gauntlets that they punch things with, huge metal totems that they draw some of their power from. And that, speaking of totems, brings us to Shaman. These are Kragwa's frogs, and they embrace the voodoo aspect of trolls. They love everything about frogs. The frog tongues on their shoulders. They got frog tongues on their weapons. They got frog tongues everywhere. They turn people into frogs. They summon frogs. They really, really like frogs.
So we have the characters. We have the setting. But what does it take to be a gladiator in the arena? We wanted to find a keyword that fit the fantasy of being in the Rumble. So we came up with Overkill. We decided it's not enough to simply defeat your opponents. You got to style on them. You got to show them you beat them by a lot. So what does Overkill do? Overkill cards give you a bonus whenever they deal excess damage. So Sulturaze, which we saw earlier in the opening ceremony, it's a 6-mana, 4/4 warrior weapon. With Overkill, you may attack again. So if you have Sulturaze equipped and you attack into a minion that has 3 or less health, you get to attack again. And if that minion has 3 or less health, then you get to attack again. And if that minion has 3 or less health, then you go face, because they're all out of minions. So, how did we get here? What things were we looking for when we came up with Overkill? First up, it's important to feel powerful. Gladiators need to be powerful, whether it's to defeat your opponent, to take the title, to impress the fans, to survive a single fight. You have to be powerful. So we started with a mechanic that was explored in Blackrock Mountain. We figured dragons are big and powerful, so it's a good fit for our big and powerful gladiators. So the first iteration of Overkill, excess damage dealt to a minion was dealt to your opponent's hero, which is really good for feeling powerful. Overpowering your opponent, defeating him that way, that fit that vibe. But it didn't really give us a lot of interesting choices to make. And that's something we really wanted to make important. So Hearthstone's all about taking different lines of play. Do I go face? Do I kill a minion efficiently? Do I kill a minion less efficiently and get an overkill trigger? So we wanted to play that up a little more, and we tried it again in Witchwood. This time, excess damage splashed to a random minion. Well, a random enemy minion, because we're not crazy. So, splashes to a random enemy minion, but then we had questions like, if that overkilled, did it go again? And then it felt really weird because you had to track the damage as it bounced around, and if it didn't go on forever, then it felt like your cards could not work by jumping to the wrong minion. So we tried it again with trolls. And now every overkill card has a different output, and it feels awesome, and it allows players to show off how good they are. Because different situations call for different answers, and different overkill cards work differently in different situations. So does the better player use Sulturaze to clear out a bunch of minions? Does the better player use Sulturaze to go face every turn for 16 points of damage? Different situations have different answers, and we really like that better players get to show off their skill. And finally, you get to brag a little bit. It feels good to beat your opponent by it more than you need to. Trolls are a showy race, and they're all about bright colors and big hair, and letting you know they beat you with one arm tied behind their back.
Overkill captures the arena vibe. It's all about trolls doing way more than they need to. But we also wanted to capture the sense of teams in the Rumble. And what better way to do that than a bit of team spirit? Spirits are a new mechanic that ties the team together. You've already seen the Spirit of the Shark in opening ceremonies. That's a 4-mana 0/3 with stealth for 1 turn. Your minions' battle cries and combos trigger twice. So all of the spirits are 0/3 minions with stealth for 1 turn. And that was really important because we wanted the spirits to be build around. We wanted you to be able to put this in your deck, and your deck feels like the Shark deck. It feels like the Tiger deck, or the Bat deck, or the Raptor deck. This was something that was critical for the vibe of the expansion. They're also resilient. If you're going to build your deck around this card, we want to make sure that you can get some output from it. We want you to be able to do your cool thing. And so stealth for 1 turn is our version of this minion will probably live for a turn. We tried a lot of different things for that. We tried some minions that were just invincible. They were dormant, they had their cool effect, they were just permanently there. Turns out that felt really bad to play against. Nobody likes it when there's a minion that they can't clear forever. So we tried, okay, minions can't attack this. They're ethereal. Also had the problem of, it's pretty hard for some decks to remove it. They last for a long time, not that fun to play against. All right, so we swung the other direction. What if they just had 8 health, 10 health, 12 health? They just had a bunch of health. The problem there was that they were really good if you were ahead on board, and pretty bad if you were behind on board. Your opponent would just attack into it, clear it out, you didn't get to do your cool thing. If you were ahead on board, again, it was pretty hard for your opponent to remove them. So we settled on stealth for 1 turn. It had a good balance between your opponent can use Hellfire or Multi-Shot. There's some answers for them to remove it, but at the same time, you generally get to start your turn with it and spend all of your mana doing crazy shenanigans with Pogo Hoppers and Lab Recruiters or Edwin Van Cleef or other powerful rogue minions. So there's a spirit in every single class, and they're all low cost. Spirit of the Shark is actually the most expensive of the spirits. There are none that cost more than 4 mana, and a bunch that cost less than that. That lets you do your really cool thing on a turn that's early enough for it to matter. It was really important to us that if your deck's going to be built around battle cries and combos and Spirit of the Shark, that you actually get to do your cool battle cries and combos before the game was decided, before it was turn 10 or turn 12, and a lot of the things had already happened.
So we've mentioned Loa a couple times now, but what are they for Hearthstone? Well, they're badass gods, so they just needed to be super awesome legendaries, right? We just needed them to be awesome cards that people are excited to put in their decks. And Shirvala is the core of what it means to be a paladin. She has Divine Shield, she has Rush, she has Lifesteal, she has all of those things, and I mean, she also costs 25 mana. So, although she's a beating because she is so good at removal, she has such a big swing in healing, but she also costs a lot. So we wanted to make sure that the Loa didn't go in every deck. We wanted to make sure they went in the right deck. So she also can cost 0 if you build your deck around it, which felt really awesome.
So Loa are awesome legendaries. Spirits are these build-around 0/3 stealth minions. How do they work together? And the answer is really well. So let's take a look at the Warlock Spirit. This is Spirit of the Bat. It's a 2-mana 0/3 with stealth for 1 turn because it's a spirit. And after one of your minions dies, a minion in your hand gets +1/+1. So this plays into that hand buffing theme that we started off with in Warlock in the Boomsday Project with Soul Infusion. It pairs with cards like Doubling Imp or Serenite Chain Gang, or just having lots of minions, particularly ones that replicate themselves. And that brings us to Hyreek the Bat. Hyreek the Bat is an 8-mana 1/1. Those are great stats for the cost. It has a battle cry. It fills your board with copies of this minion. So if you can get Spirit of the Bat out in the early game and a whole bunch of minions die, you can make your Hyreek the Bat this enormous threat in the late game.
And it's really cool because they work either way in this case. So if you play a Hyreek out before the Spirit of the Bat, you can use that to feed all the other minions that are in your hand and get those nice and big. So let's take a look at that in action. We've got a board full of minions, they've got a board full of minions, and we have initiative. We have Spirit of the Bat in the hand, we also have Hyreek the Bat in hand. So we're going to play out Spirit of the Bat, and we're going to do what Warlock does best. Sacrifice away all their stuff, get rid of it. Hyreek the Bat is now a 2-2. Now he's a 3-3. 4-4. 5-5. Now he's a 6-6. And now we're going to play him. Ah, 8 mana, 36.
That's 72 stats. Not bad for an 8 mana 1/1.
It's not bad.
All right, so we have 9 teams in the Rumble, each of them corresponding to a class, and they all have some similarities. First off, they all have a Loa. This is a super awesome legendary minion. They're almost all beasts. They're these really powerful, cool cards that are finishers in some sense. They're the kind of cards that you play towards the end of the game if your deck is built in the right direction. And what's the kind of deck that you build in that direction? Well, it ties into their spirit. So the spirit's a card that manifests some of the lowest powers. They push in the same direction. You saw the Spirit of the Bat and Hyreek the Bat, and they go in this swarm-type deck where you're using the Spirit to hand buff your minions, and Hyreek has a whole bunch of minions that he summons. They all tie together. The image here is the Spirit of the Tiger. It goes in a similar deck as Shirvala the Tiger that you saw earlier. Okay, so we got the Loa, we got the Spirit. That's sort of the Tiger deck. We also have a Troll Champion. Those are almost all legendary minions. One of them is also a hero card. So every class has a legendary Troll Champion, most of whom you've seen from World of Warcraft in the past, and these tend to push in a different direction. These are cards that are good in a deck that's different than the one that the Loa and the Spirit are. So if you're a Paladin player and you're excited about this expansion, you can be excited about the Tiger deck. You can also be excited about the deck that High Priest the Call goes in. High Priest the Call is the Paladin champion depicted here. So you've got those 3 cards, and then you've also got 7 other awesome cards that all derive from that same theme, the glowing yellow magic, the Paladin vibe, the Tiger Claws, the Upright Trolls. They all derive their fantasy from the Tiger Loa.
So we have all the formalities out of the way. It's time to begin the main event. It's time for Rasticon's Rumble! 9 teams have assembled to fight for the glory of the Rumble. 9 Troll Champions will lead those teams to victory. Let's introduce them one at a time so you find out who you like, who's your favorite, and who you just love to hate. First up, Bwonsamdi Zombies for the priests.
Next, we have Shirvala's Tigers for the Paladins.
Hyreek's Bats for Warlock.
Gonk's Raptors, the Druid team.
Lazi's Lynxes for the Hunters.
Cragwaw's Frogs for the Shaman.
Yeah, now it's Janeli's Dragonhawks for the Mages.
Grawl Sharks for the Rogues.
And finally, Akali's Rhinos for the Warriors.
These are the 9 teams in Rasticon's Rumble, and we're going to go into them one at a time. We're going to show you a couple more cards. So first off, we have Bwonsamdi Zombies. And in addition to having the greatest name of all of the Rumble teams, they are also Masters of Death. Bwonsamdi is the Loa of the Dead, and he's the only non-beast among all of the Loa. He's the one who takes the trolls after they die, and he shepherds them off to wherever they go. Sometimes that's undeath, sometimes it's a better place. He's also a master of dark bargains. Just ask his champion, Princess Talanji, whose father sacrificed her future in order to save his kingdom. And we wanted to capture that mechanic of sacrifice, of dark bargains in a Hearthstone card. So let's take a look at Surrender to Madness. Surrender to Madness is a 3-mana spell, and it gives all of the minions in your deck +2/+2. That's like Prince Keleseth, but twice as good. It does come with a small drawback, though. It destroys 3 of your mana crystals. So you need to figure out the right time to play this. Do you coin it out on turn 2, destroy 2 of your mana crystals, and just be behind for the whole game, but drawing off some minions? Or do you wait until later in the game, turn 7, turn 8, maybe even turn 10, when losing those mana crystals is a much smaller price to pay, and you'll get them back pretty quickly?
and it's pretty cool because you can put 2 of these in your deck, so you can have +4/+4 for all the minions in your deck.
At the low, low price of 6 mana crystals.
So, Shrivel's Tigers are good, they're pure, they're righteous. They're the golden gods of the arena. They're a little bit arrogant, but they can back up their claims. They can do no wrong. They achieve victory through devotion and righteousness. And those that are truly devoted live forever. Immortal Prelate is a 2-mana, 1/3 paladin minion. It's got Death Rattle. Shuffle this into your deck. It keeps any enchantments. So it's kind of like Kingsbane, but it's way better in Paladin because they have so many different ways to buff their minions. Whether it's Blessing of Wisdom, or Blessing of Kings, or Blessing of Spikeridge Steed, there's so many ways you can make Immortal Prelate nice and beefy. So if you cast Spikeridge Steed on Immortal Prelate, she's got +2/+6, Taunt, and Death Rattle, leave behind a dinosaur, gets shuffled back into your deck. You play her again, still has +2/+6, still leaves behind a dinosaur, and that works on forever, which is awesome. But you have to be careful, because negative debuffs also stick forever. So Paladin's favorite combo of Equality Consecrate can leave her at 1 health for the rest of the game.
Not everybody wants to be a goody two-shoes, though. Some of you want power at any cost. And that brings us to Hyreek's Bats. These are the Warlock team, and they are all about sacrifice. They can attain great power, but they have to be willing to give up everything. They're going to sacrifice their minions. You've seen Spirit of the Bat. You've seen Hyreek. They're willing to sacrifice their cards in their hand. They'll throw away cards in their deck. They'll sacrifice innocent bystanders. They'll throw away anything as long as it means victory. You've seen Spirit of the Bat. You've seen Hyreek. That really plays into that sense of have lots of minions out, throw them away, you'll have this awesome end game. If you throw away all of your resources, you'll still have some great things at the end of the game.
All right, it's time for the first fight of the night. 2 teams have entered the arena. The winner gets a card revealed. The loser gets nothing. The audience decides who wins and who loses. The team with the loudest fans gets an additional card reveal. You guys ready? Yeah. So if you are good, if you are pure, if you would protect those who cannot protect themselves, if you are a divine gift from the gods, then let's hear it for Shrivel's Tigers! And if you would crush the weak and step on them with your heel, if you would give up anything for power, if you like being really, really mean, then let's hear you scream for Hyreek's Bats! Yeah! The Warlocks win! Darkness descends upon the arena as Paladin's lights are snuffed out. Let's take a look at their card reveal. Void Contract is an 8-mana Warlock spell, and it says destroy half of your deck and half of your opponent's. You remember how we said they like sacrificing things? Well, they would do anything. They would give up anything to make sure you don't get your Shudderwock combo.
Void Contract is pretty awesome, but let's move away from good and evil, all those kind of boring, old, out-of-date concepts, and let's take a look at some dinosaurs. Druid is Gonk's Raptors, and they are all about dinosaurs. They've got druids leaping from dinosaur to dinosaur before they pounce on their enemies. They'll turn into dinosaurs. They have War Druid Lodi, who is well known in Battle for Azeroth for turning into a whole bunch of different dinosaurs. She is their champion. In fact, they're all about being feral, being wild, and being vicious. And that brings us to our first Druid card reveal. Savage Striker is a 2-mana 2/3 with Battle Cry, deal damage equal to your hero's attack to a minion. In Rastakan's Rumble, your hero is going to get into the fight. This is how we're trying to capture that sense of being a feral druid from World of Warcraft, where your hero gains attack through claw, through bite, through gnash, Malfurion's hero power. You use these cards, and then Savage Striker pairs up with you to kill another minion. Having your hero get down and dirty in the arena, crush minions all on his own, it's really all about that troll spirit.
Now, Gonk's Raptors are big, stompy dinosaurs, but Halazi's Lynxes are fast, ferocious, and just a little furious. They're led by the warlord berserker Zul'jin, who you recognize as a hero from Warcraft 2. He's a hero in Heroes of the Storm. And now, he's a hero card for Hearthstone. So, we don't get to see him today. We gotta leave some surprises. Sorry. So the Lynxes rely on tactics and speed to defeat their opponents, running circles around them before finding the perfect opportunity to strike. Let's take a look at that now. Springpaw is a 1/1 beast. It's got Rush and a Battle Cry, add a 1/1 links with Rush to your hand. So it's a really versatile tool for hunters to use because they can split up that damage and take out 2 smaller targets. They can use them to team up and take down a bigger one. They can set up the perfect board for the most efficient trade. Or they can set up the perfect overkill trigger. Halazi's Lynxes are this ball of fang and fur and claws, and it's absolutely terrifying. Springpaw may look small, but 1 damage can be the difference between defeat and lethal.
All right, you've seen the 2 wildest teams in the arena, and now they go head-to-head with a card reveal on the line. So, if you love giant dinosaurs, if you want to crush your opponents beneath your enormous paws, then let's hear it for Gonk's Raptors and the Druids.
Lots of Druid fans.
On the other hand, if you like fang and claw and ferocious beasts, if you would like to swarm your opponent with a horde of little raptors, then let's hear it for Halazi's Lynxes. I think hunters have that one.
Sorry.
Hunters win.
Let's
All
take
right.
a look at that.
Let's take a look at Baited Arrow, the hunter card reveal. Baited Arrow is a 5-mana spell. It deals 3 damage, and it has overkill, summon a 5/5 dinosaur. So you really want to get that overkill trigger. So you have to do some interesting things to make sure your opponent has a 2-health minion on the board. You can trade in things like Springpaw or the Lynx that goes with it to make sure that they've got something small enough that you can get the overkill and get your giant dinosaur out of it.
It's also really awesome because this can go face. So if your opponent has 2 health remaining on their hero, you hit them with a stake arrow, and then you get a dinosaur afterwards. It's awesome. Now let's get away from all that messy physical violence and get into something more spiritual and serene. Shaman are interesting because they are a versatile class that use both physical and magical means to defeat their opponents. But this time we're leaning heavy into the spellcasting and the voodoo. They're led by Zentimo, he's a little weird. He worships a frog, but I mean, So his spells are weapons, his spells are frogs. His spells are, of course, they're weapons. So spells are frogs, his weapons are frogs, he attacks with frogs, he just loves frogs. So it's no surprise that his next card would have toads. Reign of Toads is a 6-mana shaman spell, summons 3 2/4 toads with taunt, and has overload 3. It's a great tool that helps you get to the end game, to help you collect all your combo pieces, to find your healing and heal up against those aggressive decks. Let's take a look at that now. So it's turn 10. Our priest opponent has a 3/2 raptor. It's looking aggressive. We're gonna play Reign of Toads. It's amazing. So, it's a great tool that helps you get to the end game, but you have to be really careful because it has such a high overload cost that you can't play your end game finishers if you're already at 10 mana. So you have to weigh between, am I going to play Shudderwalk? Do I need to hold out another turn? Do I need to find my healing? There's a lot of interesting choices to make with Reign of Toads.
All right, so shaman have their voodoo, they have their mysticism, but mages have fire. Generalized Dragonhawks love fire. They really, 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 really like fire, like a lot. And there's nobody who likes fire more than this card. Pyromaniac is a 3-mana 3/4. She's literally on fire. And whenever your hero power kills a minion, you get to draw a card. Your hero power is Firebolt. So a lot of the mage cards for Generalized Dragonhawks tie into your hero power, either making it a little bit better or taking advantage of it when you kill minions with it or do other cool things with your hero power. So, we've seen Shaman, we've seen mages. What we haven't seen yet today is a troll champion. So, we are going to reveal either Zentimo, the Shaman champion, or Hexlord Malakras, the mage champion. So if you love voodoo, if you love frogs, if you have one of those cool frog pennants, then let's hear it for Shaman and Cragwa's frogs. On the other hand, if you love fire, if you just really want to watch the world burn, then let's hear it for Generalized Dragonhawks. Oh man, that was pretty close.
I think the mages won.
I think mages win. There was more whistling. All right, we get to see Malakras. Let's take a look. Hexlord Malakras is an 8-mana 5/5 legendary minion with Battle Cry. Add a copy of your opening hand to your hand. That is one of the coolest mechanics we have in this expansion. It's just a weird thing. You're like, how could they possibly do that? It only makes sense in a digital game. I'm pretty excited about it. It also makes you think about your mulligans differently. If you're in a matchup where you know it's going to go super, super long, you're playing against Odd Warrior maybe you keep extra copies of your really, really late game cards so that Malakras will be able to give them back to you and you'll be able to get tons and tons of value in the late game. On the other hand, if you're in a tempo matchup, of course you're still going to mulligan for your cheap stuff, and then Malakras is going to give you more copies of those cheap cards in the late game so that you can take advantage of them then. It also means that you have to be pretty careful about remembering which cards you had in your opening hand and taking advantage of that in the late game.
Now enough namby-pamby, spellcaster weaklings. It's time to get to the heavy metal team, Akali's Rhinos. They're all about charging in headfirst into the fray. We already saw Sultres, which is a perfect example of how they like to solve their problems, by ramming their faces into it over and over and over again. Things just go away when you do that. They're led by War Master Voon, who's come all the way from Blackrock Mountain. They're all about heavy spikes, big chains, and melting faces.
Next up, we have Grawl Sharks. And in an arena where there are no rules, they still find a way to cheat. They are led by Captain Hooktusk and her band of pirates. Rogues are all about cheating and doing weird, deceitful tricks. They're the kind of people who would be willing to bribe the judges in the event, if there were any judges that had any rules. We've already seen Spirit of the Shark earlier today. It lets your minions battle cries and combos trigger twice. So that lets you double up on your lab recruiters and your pogo hoppers to have an army of giant bunny mechs. Grawl Sharks are pretty awesome. They combine piracy and deception, two of the most fun things in Hearthstone.
But now it's time for the final fight of the night. 2 teams remain. Are you guys ready? This one's for all the marbles, so make sure you give it all you've got. So if you live a life of the sea, and you live for the salt and the brine, and the wind in your sails, if you love the search of booty, then let's hear it for Grawl Sharks! Yeah! Sharks! And if you'd rather sneak through the crowds, pickpocket some people, stick to the shadows, and never be seen and get out without anyone ever seeing you, then let's hear it for the Rogues! Yeah. Good effort, but I think Grawl Sharks have it this time.
Would you be willing to say they bribed some judges?
Let's take a look at the next pirate-related card. Cannon Barrage is a 6-mana rogue spell, deals 3 damage to a random enemy, which can go face, and then all of your pirates grab their cannons and then they shoot them. It's awesome, and let's show it to you right now. So we got a board full of pirates. Our opponent has a pesky taunt in the way. So we're just going to launch a bunch of cannons at him. And now that the taunts are out of the way, we can attack with our pirates. It's like bloodlust, but better. So whether you're a spellcaster, a warrior, a fighter, a dirty cheater, we hope you enjoyed yourself today at Rastakan's Rumble. If you're interested, if you're as excited as we are about the missions and the upcoming solo content, we have a panel tomorrow at 4:30 in which they'll go over all the details with our mission team. Yeah?
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Right now, you can pre-order on the website, and if you do, you'll get this cool Rastakan alternate hero. He's a shaman hero, and you'll be able to play him immediately. This expansion launches on December 4th. We are incredibly excited about Rastakan's Rumble, and we hope you are too. Thank you again for joining us, and have a wonderful BlizzCon.